You chose to click this video. At least, that's what it feels like. But there's a disturbing possibility. Your brain may have begun preparing that decision before you even knew you had made it. And if that's possible, think about every decision that created your life. The person you love, the career you chose, the opportunities you took, the mistakes you regret. How much of it was actually your choice? Decades ago, scientists tried to measure something philosophers had argued about for centuries: the exact moment a decision begins. What they found inside the human brain created a debate that continues to this day. But before we get there, I want you to make a choice. Right now. Choose a number between 1 and 10. Don't calculate, don't overthink it. Just choose one. Got it? Was it 7? Maybe. Maybe not. But the number itself isn't important. Something else is. Why did that particular number appear in your mind?
Did you consciously create it before you thought of it? Think carefully. If you already knew which number you were going to choose, then the choice had already appeared. And if you didn't know, where did it come from? Maybe a memory influenced you. Maybe you saw that number somewhere earlier today. Maybe there was a pattern buried so deeply in your mind that you'll never know it affected you. Whatever happened, the thought seemed to appear, and then you called it your choice. That leads to an uncomfortable question. You can choose what to do with a thought, but did you choose the thought that appeared? And once you start asking that question, something strange happens. You begin following causes backward. Imagine a billiard table. One ball strikes another. That ball strikes the next. Every movement exists because something happened before it. Now, imagine doing the same thing with one of your decisions. Maybe this morning you chose coffee instead of tea. Why? Because you prefer coffee. But did you choose to prefer coffee? Your preferences were shaped by your biology, your culture, your habits, your memories, and thousands of experiences you never controlled. You didn't choose your genes. You didn't choose the brain you were born with. You didn't choose your earliest experiences. You didn't choose the country, language, or family that first shaped the way you understood the world. And yet all of those things helped create the person making your choices today. You make choices with a mind you never chose.
So, follow the chain backward. Your decision came from your preferences. Your preferences came from previous experiences. Those experiences came from earlier events. And eventually, the chain reaches a time before you were even born. So, where, exactly, does freedom enter? For most of human history, this was a question philosophers could only argue about. Then, scientists tried to watch a decision happen. In the early 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet and his colleagues conducted an experiment that would become one of the most famous experiments in the debate over free will. Imagine yourself sitting in a laboratory. Electrodes are attached to your scalp. In front of you is something resembling a clock. A point of light moves rapidly around it. The instructions are simple. Whenever you feel like it, move your wrist. No countdown. No one tells you when. Just move whenever you choose. But there's one more instruction. Pay attention to the moving point. Remember where it was when you first became aware of the urge to move. The researchers were comparing different moments. The movement itself, the moment you reported becoming consciously aware of wanting to move, and electrical activity in the brain leading up to the action.
Then something strange appeared in the timing. Before participants reported becoming consciously aware of the intention to move, researchers could already detect a buildup of brain activity associated with preparing for movement. It became known as the readiness potential. The sequence seemed unsettling. First, preparatory brain activity, Then the reported conscious urge. Then movement. One interpretation was difficult to ignore. Perhaps conscious awareness wasn't initiating the entire process. Perhaps it was becoming aware of a process that had already begun. In other words, what if consciousness isn't always the author? What if sometimes it's the narrator? But this is where the story is often told incorrectly. Libet's experiment did not prove that free will is an illusion. That is not the scientific verdict. Researchers still debate what the readiness potential actually represents. Some later interpretations suggest it may reflect accumulating neural activity rather than a fully formed decision already made by the brain. There is also a deeper problem. How do you precisely measure the moment someone becomes consciously aware of wanting something? Human beings are not stopwatches. And deciding when to move your wrist is very different from deciding whether to leave a relationship, forgive someone, change your career, or sacrifice something for another person. So the experiment didn't solve the mystery of free will. It did something more interesting. It made the mystery harder to ignore.
Because suppose, just for a moment, that some decisions really do begin before you become consciously aware of them. You might say, then I didn't decide. My brain did. That sentence sounds perfectly reasonable, until you ask one question. What are you, if not your brain? We talk as though two separate beings live inside your body. There is your brain, a biological machine firing electrical signals, and then there is you, somewhere behind your eyes, watching, thinking, deciding, as if a tiny observer sits inside your head, looking at everything happening on some internal screen. But scientists have found no single command center where a tiny, separate self appears to sit and watch the rest of the brain. Look inside, and you find networks, billions of neurons, electrical impulses, chemical signals, different regions constantly communicating. No tiny commander sitting in the middle. So saying, my brain decided, not me, may contain a hidden mistake. Your brain is not simply something you own. It is part of what you are. But that doesn't solve the problem. It makes it stranger. Because now we have to ask, could you ever have chosen differently?
Imagine two universes, perfectly identical. Same galaxies, same Earth, same history, same atoms. And in both universes, there is a version of you. Same DNA, same childhood, same memories, same brain. Every event leading to this moment is identical. At exactly 8:17 tonight, both versions of you face the same choice. Option A or option B. Now answer this. Could one version choose A while the other chooses B? If everything is truly identical, what would make them choose differently? If the answer is nothing, then perhaps, under exactly the same conditions, the same choice must occur. That sounds like determinism. But suppose they could choose differently for absolutely no reason. No difference in their brains, no difference in their memories, no difference anywhere in the universe. One simply chooses A, the other chooses B. Would that make them free? Or would it make the difference random? Imagine a coin flipping somewhere inside your mind. Heads, you choose A. Tails, you choose B. A random choice may be unpredictable, but is unpredictability the same thing as freedom? And now we're trapped. If every choice is completely caused by what came before, it doesn't seem free. But if a choice happens for absolutely no reason, it seems random. Determined doesn't sound free. Random doesn't sound free. So what exactly would freedom look like?
There may be a way out. Imagine someone points a gun at you and demands your wallet. You hand it over. Now imagine walking past someone who desperately needs help. You stop, you take out your wallet, and you freely give them money. Both actions have causes. Your brain was involved in both. Your past influenced both. But we immediately recognize an important difference. In one situation, you were forced. In the other, you acted according to your own reasons, values, and desires. This leads to a very different idea of freedom. Maybe being free doesn't require your decisions to appear magically from nowhere. Maybe freedom means being able to act according to your own reasoning, character, and desires, without being coerced. Philosophers call versions of this idea compatibilism. The idea that free will and a world of causes might be able to exist together. Your choices have causes, but those causes include you, your values, your memories, your reasoning, your character. That sounds like an escape, until the mystery opens again.
Because who created your character? You didn't choose your genes. You didn't choose your childhood. You didn't choose the first experiences that taught you what love felt like, what fear felt like, what success meant, or what kind of person you believed you had to become. So if you didn't choose the forces that created your character, and your character helps create your choices, how free are you? There is no simple answer. But something remarkable happens here. You may not have chosen the forces that shaped you, yet somehow, you can become aware of them. You can notice an impulse and refuse to obey it. You can examine a belief you inherited and decide you no longer believe it. You can recognize a pattern that has controlled you for years and try to change it. Maybe even that attempt has causes. Maybe the desire to change came from something that happened before. The chain never disappears. But consciousness seems to give us something unusual: the ability to examine the chain itself. And perhaps, in some sense, change what comes next. Whether that is true free will, a sophisticated form of determinism, or something we still don't understand, remains one of philosophy's deepest mysteries.
Now think back to the beginning of this video. You saw a title. You saw a thumbnail. Something in your mind became curious, and you clicked. Maybe that tiny decision was shaped by your personality, your browsing history, the algorithm, something you watched yesterday, a question you've carried for years without realizing it. Maybe billions of causes stretching backward through your life converged on one tiny movement. Click. And because you clicked, something is now different. A question exists in your mind that may not have existed a few minutes ago. Soon, this video will end, and something will happen next. You might watch another video. You might put your phone down. You might forget everything you just heard. Or tonight, while making some completely ordinary decision, you might suddenly stop and wonder, why did I choose that? Whatever you do next, it will feel like your choice. And maybe it is. But perhaps the deepest mystery isn't simply whether you are free. Because before we can answer whether you have free will, there is another question hiding underneath it. A question that may be even stranger. What exactly is the you we're trying to free? Question everything, especially yourself.